Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Vita and Chip and Culpy.
Oh, Booby's in the tree. Patreon pick.
Yep.
We've been Matthew Winter of the Patreon group. He's been revolting. Justice for patrons. He's got this hashtag. Justice for patrons.
I know, because we're behind again with them.
We were gonna do the song yesterday, but then the big homie Chuck Schuldiner, I think his name was, he died. So you know, it was worth it. It was worth it to face the wrath of the thingamajigs. But on another note, I'm pretty excited because this is a band we've never heard before. Which is how the Patreon picks are supposed to be. Well, I mean, I don't want to tell them how to run their groups, but it is cool. Yeah, it's cool. The last couple Patreon picks have all been from bands we've never heard before, so I'm cool. I'm happy about that. Okay,
so it's KAMELOT, March of the Mephisto?
March of Mephisto, yeah. It's like the devil, Mephisto.
That's the devil?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like the guy that...
I didn't know that.
Mephisto's always the guy that shows up and says, you know, give me this in exchange for your soul type of thing.
Oh, really? I've never heard of the word. What? Have I?
Yeah, you've heard the word.
It doesn't sound familiar to me, Ben.
Okay. So, there's that. If you want to check out some timely, topical, political commentary, we've got Middle America, Vin and Sori. There's a couple episodes that I'm going to shoot right after this one. And then we've got My Sori Life, all the background stuff with this one. Okay, so this is March of Mephisto. Let's do it.
Go.
It's live?
Looks like it.
I am slowly there to share your grief. Waiting in my sorrow, waiting my way. Come for you, waiting for tomorrow. You're lonely, I need. You're sounding good. Ask me to return. Tell me all about
Mephisto.
That was creepy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because of what it was saying at the beginning. Scroll back up, and then like he was singing around that young girl, and it seemed to me like it was like the devil talking to her, and like, you know, like how we've been around people when they're like wallowing in their depression or sorrow and stuff, and like how deep that rabbit hole can go. Mm-hmm. And when he says like, you know just who I am, don't be so distant, because when you're lost, I'm solely there to share your grief. Wailing your sorrow is only my way to comfort you. Reminds wait, where was he? Right, waiting for morrow, you're lonely. I name your solitude. I speak it the truth. It just sounds like he was there, like surrounding her in her, like in that, and that he wanted her to be there and wanted her to be in that. I am solely there to share your grief. He said something else, like he wanted her, now tell me all about your pain, down to the detail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I misunderstanding what the song's about? Because that's what it seems like it is to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's exactly like when, you know, like when people have talked to me about like those moments with them where they've gotten so, that's what they're doing. They're like sitting there like in like sometimes even physical darkness, but they're just sitting there and it's just like all this darkness around them, and then they're just like thinking about all the things that that happened to them that were bad, and like going over this and going over that pain and just wallowing in that, and then they land doing something destructive to themselves because it's just like that downward spiral.
Well, that's one of the things about caring for somebody who's going through depression, because it's almost an impossible balance that you have to strike. From the one hand, letting them ventilate their pain, but on the other hand, there's this movie, Girl Interrupted, is Whoopi Goldberg and Angelina Jolie, and she was in a mental hospital basically, and then there's this one conversation with Whoopi Goldberg and then Angelina Jolie, and they're going back and forth, and Angelina Jolie's taking a bath or something like that, and then they're talking about like getting better, like mentally getting better or whatever, and then Angelina Jolie says, okay, well, get me out of the tub, and then Whoopi says, you get yourself out of the tub. And that's supposed to be metaphorical for she was sitting in her, you know, whatever, and she had to get out.
Yeah.
She had to get herself out.
Yeah.
I mean, Whoopi was there talking to her, but the point of that whole conversation, the undercurrent of the whole thing was that, yes, you're in this situation, and yes, there's people around you, but you have to make the decision to get yourself out.
Yeah.
And I think we should be very, very, very careful about people who are always yanking us out of the tub, or who are always saying, yeah, it's terrible, the whole world's against you, and da-da-da, and never challenging you to overcome your... Because what's interesting is he says, tell me all your pain down to the detail, but then he says, don't say it's love, your fragile heart feeds my contempt.
I didn't understand that part.
So he hates her for her weakness. He has contempt for her. Contempt is kind of like...
Yeah, no, I understand that,
disgust.
but I didn't understand. Don't say what isn't love.
Don't say it's love. Don't say it's love. So
in other words, don't say that part of your pain is because of love?
No, I think what he's saying is, yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and I'm listening to all the pain in your in every detail, but he's saying, I don't love you. Your fragility, your weakness actually feeds my contempt of you.
Oh, so he likes seeing her like that.
Well, yeah, he likes seeing her in that situation. And there's people that are like that.
I didn't understand that line, but I definitely got that feel.
There are people that are like that you would assume externally that they love you, but in reality they actually don't have very much respect for you at all and want to see you in a wallowing situation.
Wow.
Because it gives them a sense of power over you. And that's what's going on here. He's saying, he doesn't really love her. And that's true. Like the people in your life that challenge you and tell you things that you don't want to hear, those are the people that actually love you. The people that are always, oh yeah, you're like perpetually always disempowered. They always disempower you. I'm not saying, and that's why I said it's an impossible task to do right, because it's like, well, most people are well-meaning, they want to help the person and be a shoulder to cry on and all the rest of it. And when to be a shoulder to cry on versus being an enabler, when that line is crossed, who knows?
Right.
And sometimes maybe you are just being a jerk, you know? So it's a very difficult thing. But here in this Mephisto character, who's usually it's the devil, and he usually does it to buy your soul. You know, I'll give you this, and then, you know, you give me your soul. Because when you're lost, lonely, I'm solely there to share your grief.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the only one. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's so the beginning is the fortune is smiling at our first effort. This is said in Latin. Nadus tudis iris.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Let me lead you and you will be safe. Vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of people, the voice of God. Ad moriam de gloriam, for the bigger glory of the God. I think it's for the greater glory of God, but who cares? Ad infinitum, to infinity. So, and I'm not translating that Latin. That's that's on the screen. I love Latin, but I'm not translating it. We need Dorian for that. So, it's one of those things where it's a person, and this is probably literally Mephisto, but I'm the thorn in your side that seeks accomplishment, reminding the mortal of death. I am the spore of your pride, an angel, heaven sent, the master of all. I am the urge of the flesh. Just Mephisto, just like, it's about human pride and human accomplishment outside of doing it the way that God wants you to do it. Chase the heathen call, we belong, you and I, unison in all you deny.
I didn't understand that. Unison in all you deny? Because he just, like he was saying, I'm the urge of the flesh.
Right.
So, denial, you would think there would be no unison when you try to deny yourself something, because that's not what he wants you to do. He wants you to fulfill all the desires of your flesh.
Well, he's saying you're trying to deny the flesh, but if you get with him, you're going to be in union with everything that you're trying to.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. That's why he says chase the heathen call.
Gosh.
Which is the other side of it, is that, you know, a lot of times, you know, we were watching that Satanist interview, and he was talking about, you know, indulgence instead of, you know, the self-denial stuff that happens with Christianity. And I was just thinking to myself, what a childish way to look at, and when I say childish, I don't mean it in the pejorative sense, but children, whenever you institute rules to them or whenever you institute boundaries, they always think that you're trying to take something from them. When in reality, it's because you understand how the universe works.
Right.
So you understand physics and propulsion, and you know that if, you know, little Johnny runs out into the street and there's a car coming, you know, physics and all the other stuff says that he's not gonna win that debate between the fender of the car and his head.
Right.
It's not like the cartoons.
Right.
Well, he doesn't know that. He just thinks you're just trying to be a jerk. So it's like, I always think to myself, like, what if a little kid applied the principles of your religion? Like, I'm gonna do self-indulgence and not listen to the silly rules of my parents. So if I feel like I want to run out to the middle of the street, fuck you, mom and dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I always say, anytime I hear about people saying that they're just going to go into indulgence and
That's true.
and not do any form of self-denial, you know, it's like Peterson says, sacrifice is always a bargain with the future. So if you tell little Johnny, look, if you won't run into the middle of the street and get yourself killed by having your skull caved in by this car, that means that you have more days to run around.
Right.
But if you won't sacrifice the momentary joy of running out to the middle of the street, then you just sacrifice all the other days that you could. So when I see things about like the constant call to, oh, don't deny yourself, indulge in everything you want, it's like, okay, great, go to the CDC.com right now and look at what rampant indulgence has done for our society. Like, I just think that we need to mature as a collective human body and realize that maybe the ancients were onto something when they were putting certain restrictions on the way that we should handle things. You know?
Yeah.
Because some of this stuff is circular. like, so the first half of the song is about misery and loneliness, and then the second half of the song is him encouraging her to indulge in everything that she's denied. Well, the end result of that is just going to be more misery and loneliness.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, nobody... I'm going to say something controversial, but generally, the person who is complete... Nobody marries a completely indulgent person. Nobody looks... Like, there's no dude... Trust me, I'm a dude. No dude looks around and sees the woman who's completely indulgent and does everything. Nobody goes, I'm going to marry that girl. I'm going to be with her when I'm 85. No dude thinks that. So, it's like...
And I think the same thing could be said about women.
Oh, of course.
Somebody who's completely indulgent in everything.
Yeah, you think girls sitting there and the dude's running around with every other... Like, okay, I'm going to marry that guy. That's the guy I'm going to give my soul to. So, I think that, you know, there's a connection to the first half and the second half of the song in the sense that, you know, he is... Basically, the first half of the song is him getting to her through the emotional gate and saying, hey, I'm there for you, nobody's there for you, everybody sucks, I'm the only one that loves you and understands you, yada, yada, yada. And then the second half is now that she's in his kind of purview, now he's saying, hey, indulge in everything, do everything, you know.
Yep.
Do anything you want. I'm the urge of the flesh, I'm the master of all. Indulge your pride. And it's not just, you know, sexual peccadillos, it's also the spore of your pride, you know. And that's the other thing, is that if you have somebody that's always like pitying you all the time and never challenges you to go forward and get out of the bathtub, that's bad.
Right.
And then if you have somebody that's always stoking your pride and never trying to tell you to humble out ever, and never says, you arrogant bastard, you know, and tries to keep your pride in check, if you've got somebody that's always just stoking your pride, that's a problem. You know, that's like that's a real issue, because a lot of crazy things have happened. People do I've seen people die because of their pride. It'll kill you.
Yep.
So yeah, I just think this is a very, very intelligent way of talking about how the devil operates, or how a bad person who could personify a devil operates. Because most of our constituency doesn't even believe there's a devil. Let's just say it this way. How a negative or a destructive person in your life could operate. Let me say it that way. And I don't even think destructive people necessarily even think that they're being destructive.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I think that sometimes you're trying to help the other person, and so you don't want to make them feel worse than they already feel, so then you don't want to like call them out on their bullshit or something that they're doing that's completely destructive, and so you're trying to be like, well, you know, like, I know that you're trying, and I know that you're, you know what I mean, because you don't want to discourage them too much, to be like, you've been sitting in this bath for way too long, you got to get up.
Well, one of the most wisest lines of all time in the history of human beings is in Proverbs. It says, the wounds of a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. It's like...
Yep.
And I don't even think the guy that's multiplying kisses necessarily even knows that he's being an enemy. That's the thing. But I think within the collective human consciousness, we realize that the person who's always just, you know, there and always nice all the time and always never has anything negative to say about you ever, and always has something negative to say about people against you, but never anything negative to say about you, like, I think we all collectively know, we could identify, hey, that's a problem outside, but when it comes to us, then it's different. So, this is very intelligent songwriting for sure. What'd you think of the metal?
It was very hard to hear much of it. Like, I don't think the audio quality was very good on this one.
I know. Why did you guys choose that for the
I'm a little confused why that was.
This is the second time the Patreon. You Patreon people. I might have to veto some of your video selections. I'm not going to veto your song, but the sound quality was pretty pixelated. We're going to get murdered out in the comment section because of it. And I actually agree with them. I think Winter's responsible for this one, so now I'm talking shit. Winter, you suck. That was a terrible choice. If you wanted a live version, do the hard work that Sori and I have to do and get a good one. Because this one was pixelated and stuff. I got what they were trying to do with the metal though.
What it sounded like from what I could hear.
Was that the official video?
Oh, I don't know. I just took the link that they gave to me.
We'll see if it gets blocked.
When it first started, I was like, this is trash. I did not like the sound of the beginning of the song.
Really?
Oh, at all. Do you remember what it sounded like?
Well, yeah, it was like trying to set the mood or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was setting a mood. Not a good one for me. But then once it got past like that first little bit, then I don't know if it was the sound quality that was like. I was like, what even is this?
Oh, that was alright.
Yeah. I like couldn't get into it at first, and then once the song started in, then I was like, whoa, and I could, even though the audio wasn't very good, like I could still hear like what they were trying to do, and I thought that it was good. Honestly, like I probably would give the song a 9 if I would have been able to hear it better.
See, I had the opposite issue. The vocals and stuff were just too clean and clean cut, and I knew what was happening. It just seemed very, very basic to me. It just didn't.
Oh, really?
But then the end, the last, 30 seconds of the song actually bumped it up a couple points, or a point.
What did you think of her voice? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Because
that was bad.
Yeah, but didn't it sound like what she looked like a young, innocent?
Oh, sure.
Not super powerful, not super great. It was just.
It went with the theme of the song.
Yeah, I thought it went really well.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, it worked. It was just this verse, chorus, verse, pre-chorus. It was just. I didn't really. There was nothing really that stood out to me. Like, whoa, that's it. Like, like the Gersak thing where they had that middle section. It's like, whoa, I've never heard this before. Done, or it just seemed, But the end, the last 30 seconds was really cool and earned an extra point for me. So,
see, I think I was so blown away by the actual lyrics, like what the content of what they were saying. Like I was surprised to see, because you know how like when you think about like this is not talking about a person that is influencing around you. Like this song is talking about the devil.
right.
So I was surprised to see them talking about it in that much accurate detail, because that is how the devil runs.
Yeah.
Like, it's that, the way he was like slinking around her and like, like saying like, tell me all of your stuff. And like, I've seen the effects of this on multiple people. So it's like, so just seeing that put out in a song, and not even like this would be a song that would be like, perfect for like a youth group to do a reenactment.
Well,
of, you know?
Just Who I Am is a very interesting line to me, because I get, how am I going to articulate this? So I know that when I meet God, when I finally meet him, face to face and all the whatever, that he's going to be extremely familiar to me, because I know his voice and I know the feeling and the essence of him when I'm there.
Yeah.
And I just think that if the devil manifested himself physically to a lot of people, our atheist friends or whatever, they'd be extremely familiar with him. Like they'd know. Because I think that it's more than talking. I agree with you. It's an essence. It's a presence and all that. And if you have spiritual sensitivity, you know what you're dealing with. But if you don't, you just think that it's. I think that people are cavorting, interacting with spiritual intelligences, and they don't even recognize it.
I would agree with that.
And so so when he says, just who I am, I'm like, whoa. Because I think if the devil really showed up, people would be like, oh my God, ah! And then he'd be like, just chill out, man. You know who I am. I've been with you for a while. And it is kind of creepy, but I think it's a very insightful line. Don't be so distant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know who I am. So I think that I think that's a pretty insightful line. It's probably the spookiest line of the week.
That is spooky, yeah.
But what do you give the song?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9, because I would put it down a little bit because the audio, but I think that I could hear enough of it where I would say it was probably a 9.
It was gonna get a 7.5 for me, but the last 30 seconds of the song kind of shot it up there. So it's got a good solid 8 for me.
All right.
There you are. Bid out.
Sorry out.
Gone.